On October 30th, 2018, one phone call completely upended the lives of the Pellicott family.
We were gonna go to lunch, but all of a sudden Jaclyn just quit texting back. It said University Medical Center. My heart sunk right then and there because I knew. I just started praying. I just kept slamming my hands on the steering wheel. Just trying to get to her.
Sherry's first call was to her husband, Dennis. Their 20-year-old daughter, Jaclyn, and her boyfriend were pulling out at a busy intersection when a large truck slammed into the passenger side of their Jeep, where Jaclyn was sitting.
We answer the call, "Hey babe, how's it going?" And it's not, "Hey babe, how you going?" It's, "Hey babe, we got a problem."
Rescue personnel rushed Jaclyn to University Medical Center in El Paso, Texas, where her parents arrived shortly after. Although her boyfriend walked out with minor injuries, Jaclyn suffered numerous injuries and fractures and a traumatic brain injury. She wasn't expected to live much longer.
To process somebody telling your daughter's not gonna survive doesn't set in because you're like, this can't happen to us. I just saw Jaclyn, 3 hours ago at home. How can we already be here in a hospital with her fighting for her life?
In surgery, doctors had to remove 2 portions of Jaclyn's skull to relieve pressure on the brain. Hours later, Sherry and Dennis were allowed to see Jaclyn, who was now in a medically induced coma.
It didn't look like Jaclyn. Tubes from every portion of her body coming out. Her head was swollen, her eyes were bruised. It didn't look like her at all.
Doctors did not know how much more time Jaclyn had, if any. Even if so, they were certain she would never be herself again.
They told us because of the severe brain damage and the swelling that Jaclyn would be in a vegetative state for the rest of her life. I kept just praying, God, just keep Jaclyn, keep her with us.
About 3 days later, Sherry says she was praying for her daughter when she received a word from God.
God told me Jaclyn would be recovered and she would have a foundation and she would bring thousands to him through her testimony. Prayers after that prayer changed everything because it was, now we had this hope, we had this God, big God, standing beside us.
2 months Jaclyn held on before she was transported to Tier Memorial in Houston, a hospital that specializes in traumatic brain rehabilitation. Finally, when it became clear that Jaclyn would live at least, they brought her out of the coma. She still showed no signs of cognitive or physical recovering.
Jaclyn was in a wheelchair. Jaclyn was not speaking. Jaclyn could not hold her head up. She could not really move her legs at all. I was having a rough time, just accepting that Jaclyn was in the condition she was in.
I had fear because I don't know. You have fear and you have faith. I had to get a hold of my fear and put it to my faith.
Every night we had everyone praying. We picked a time specifically that prayers would go up for Jaclyn.
In the coming months, Jaclyn would endure intense rehab. Friends and family continued to pray daily. Jaclyn remained in rehab for nearly a year before finally going home, still in a wheelchair and bedridden. Then one night, Jaclyn surprised her mom.
Went in there and I said, "Jaclyn, are you okay?" And she gave me a thumbs up. And I asked her, "Do you need anything?" And she gave me a thumbs down. And I said, "Okay, well, I love you." And in the faintest, tiniest whisper, she said, "I love you too." And I started screaming.
2 months later, Jaclyn continued to surprise when she stood up for the first time.
When people would tell me, "You're not going to be able to do this," I would just say, "Okay, thank you very much." And we would leave and I would just pray about it and ask God, what are you going to do with me?
As she continued rehab, Jaclyn found different ways to get back to normal.
I probably built over 200 Lego sets, and I really feel like it's helped me with my hand-eye coordination. My faith is even stronger than it was because I know what God can do for me and for others.
Jaclyn went on to continue her college career, majoring in pre-med to become a neuropsychologist. She and her parents also started the Jaclyn Strong Foundation. The Pellicotts also have a renewed belief in prayer for themselves and for others.
We're still healing. We're still recovering. I have a testimony. My testimony is how good God is, whether He chose to heal or take. I thank Him for leaving Jaclyn here to spread His word even more. The power of prayer is amazing.
For us to be able to have the front row seat and to watch Jaclyn not only come back from something she was never expected to come back from, but come back with such dignity and pride and just such love for God is the biggest blessing we could ever have asked for.
There are miracles in the Bible, but I feel like so many people don't see real day-life miracles now. So after they watch mine, then they can see that miracles do happen. God is the same, never changed, never will.